This is one of the subclasses I designed myself. It's called the Monolith. So, with the Monolith Warlock, I wanted to try and make a dwarven god, something the dwarves would worship. So it had lots of force abilities, moving things around, and lots of earthen abilities as well. I wanted to try and emphasize mining and forbidden power in the depths of the earth from an ancient unknown civilization or some alien craft that's crash landed. I read Tommyknockers as a child, the Stephen King novel, and that gave me a great visual representation of something that would be similar to this. When you dig deep underground, it would be full of hieroglyphics or unknown language. For untold millennia, the Monolith has been trapped in obscurity, biding its time, waiting for someone worthy enough to bestow its power upon them. The Monolith wants to break its bindings and unleash its full form, and through your actions it may finally do so. The Monolith could be found by dwarven miners excavating deep into unknown territory, or discovered by a group of explorers breaching the ruins of a long-lost civilization. In the past, it was worshipped as a god statue because of its strange otherworldly aura and its ability to grant reality-bending power to those that it deems worthy. Now, I suppose the first thing we should do is cover the spells, and I borrowed a little bit from other classes as well. I wanted Earth, but at the same time I wanted something more otherworldly as well. So Entangle, technically it's a druid spell, but I know a lot of warlocks, they take spells from other classes and try to integrate them into their own kit. And I think Entangle has a great thematically appropriate reason to be there here. Just think of it less of entangling vines and more about shaking the earth at its foundation. And to go with the gravity / reality bending ideas, Featherfall I thought was a good use as well. Level 2 abilities, spells. Shatter deals good damage, and I just think it's a cool spell. Being able to crack the earth. And Spider Climb it's okay, it's good, but it's not amazing. But I think it's on par, the ability to climb up walls, and it's rather unsettling. With these spells as well, they all have to be compliant with the OGL, so I had a limited amount to pick from. And yeah, I think we did okay with it. Now, Tiny Hut is one of my favourite level 3 spells. I mean, everybody goes for Fireball or Counter Spell, but Tiny Hut's awesome. And the thought of lifting the earth up and to make like a protective dome is quite appropriate for the subclass. And the second spell for 3rd level is Meld into Stone. Should go without saying, being able to sneak into stone gives a bit of stealth, gives a bit of durability if you're getting attacked by a dragon's breath or something like that. So yeah, I didn't put a lot of damage spells on here aside from Shatter, and maybe Wall of Stone you could say. I wanted to try and make it more of a support, but I know that it does deal a lot of damage when you go through the abilities. You'll be able to see that. So finally, level 5, Teleportation and Wall of Stone. To go with a dwarven, mining, digging, mountainous theme, Wall of Stone should go without saying. And Teleportation Circle is going to be very vital when we go through the abilities. At level 1, you get the ability Intergalactic Shift. The first time you deal damage with a Warlock spell on your turn, if they're a medium size or smaller, you can move that creature in a straight line 5 foot in any direction. At level 6, this increases to 10 foot. Moving a creature up to 10 foot in the air deals 1d6 bludgeoning damage, 1d6 bludgeoning fall damage and knocks prone. And I think that's just a reminder of what's in the rulebook. If you fall 10 feet, you're going to take damage. And I thought this was just a cool ability to tack onto the side, just to try and like give you gravity or rock or some sort of theming with that, if you can move people with your mind. It's not telekinesis, but it's kind of close. Also at level 1, you get a Fold Between the Planes. You perform a ritual for 1 minute, summoning a bag of holding. Once you create it, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest or you expend a spell slot to create a new bag. And you can only have one at a time. I just wanted to try and give the group a free bag of holding at level 1, I think that it's powerful and impactful enough to really make a unique class out of this. But at the same time, it's not overpowered because it's something you're going to naturally get at later levels. And I think with most D&D games, the first thing they're going to try and get with magic items is a bag of holding, because it's just not practical to carry lots and lots of stuff around in these games. Unless you want to focus on item management as the core part of your mechanics in the game as a DM, then I believe a bag of holding might be quite helpful for the players. When you're having a fantasy game and you're focused on character interaction, dungeon exploration, and defeating big creatures and monsters, the last thing you want to worry about is the weight of gold. It just slows down the whole game with micromanagement, and it can really kill the mood when players are worrying about the load and how much they can carry and all this sort of thing. So yeah, I think it's more of a convenience thing than anything else. So level 6, you gain the ability Reality Warp. You can cast the Misty Step spell without expending a spell slot, and you can use it equal to your proficiency bonus, and you get it back on a long rest. I was tempted to put it at a short or long rest, but I think that would have been a little bit too powerful. I think that if you did it once every short rest, or you can do it every long rest equal to your proficiency bonus, they're kind of equivalent. So this was just a good way to incorporate Misty Step into the abilities to teleport. I think that's the Monolith trying to get out of its bindings. It tries to manifest this in the player. And here's the cool part, it coincides with the level 10 ability, Interdimensional Tear. Now, the level 6 Reality Warp, when you cast Misty Step, it now does 3d8 force damage and knocks any enemy within 15 feet of the previous location prone. Neat Misty Step with kicker effects. Yeah, I do like the idea of adding extra abilities to original spells, although I don't want to do it too much because it could get very complicated very quickly. I think Misty Step is a standard spell, and I think you get like a Thunder Step or something similar to that at later levels. But for a Warlock, this has some meaty abilities. So when you warp out of the location and warp to somewhere else, any enemies there are going to receive damage. You can bring along any objects as long as their weight doesn't exceed the weight you can carry. You can also teleport one willing creature your size or smaller. I wanted to try and use this so you can grab someone and teleport them out of danger, and it's going to add to some really cinematic moments. So the creature must be within 5 feet of you and in an unoccupied space, otherwise the creature is left behind. What do you guys think of that? Warping into other areas and leaving a trail of devastation in your wake. So at level 14, with the last ability for the Monolith was Cosmic Cave-In. I wanted to give them the ability to open up a portal in the sky and just rain down meteors or rocks on the enemies. Cosmic Cave-In can be cast up to 60-foot range, and each creature within a 15-foot radius sphere centered on the point must make a dex save. They take 10d8 force damage and are restrained until the start of the next turn. On a successful dex save, each creature takes half damage and not restrained. Now, I wanted to give something that dealt a big chunk of damage, and it felt powerful. It's an area of effect as well. It's not just one creature, so you can use it strategically. But I noticed that I think it's the Fiend Warlock has something similar as the last ability. The main difference is that's Hurl Through Hell, so you essentially drop on one creature out of reality, dealing lots of damage, taking them out of the game for a turn, and then dropping them back in. So I think this has enough to differentiate itself from the other ability. This is more of a area crowd control sort of effect. So yeah, that's the level 14 ability. I think that's it's a really cool subclass. I'm proud of the work I've done on this.